True, the create. It slices, it dices, it makes all your dreams come true. The Creators Collective provides information not only on woodworking, but metalworking, leather, electronics, and more. But that's not all. It also comes with 3 hosts to answer all your creating questions. Now, listen along as James Wright, Zack Herberholtz, and William Walker fumble through answering your questions live each Thursday morning. Listen in now, and you can have this amazing podcast for the simple monthly installment of a Patreon subscription. But we're just getting started.
And welcome back for another week with the Creators Collective. And this is formerly known as the Crafted Podcast, which I still have the hard time of not saying. This has been a fun time. And we're here for answering your questions. So if you have any questions you would like us to answer, feel free to let us know in the chat if you're live. If you're not live, then you can also comment on the videos on YouTube or send one of the 3 of us a message, and we'll try and get those answered in the next podcast. So for this week, I do want to say a huge thank you to our top patrons of the month, Make, Build, Modify, Master of None, and Deby Brooke. Thank you so much for your help in this, and we're looking forward to what we're going to do in the future.
Have you guys have you guys been keeping up with Make, Build, Modify? Hello?
Yeah.
You been keeping up with Make, Build, Modify?
No.
I don't remember what his last one was.
Well, his channel has just absolutely exploded. I think he's last time I checked, he's over 75,000 subs, which is pretty impressive. Yeah. So
That's awesome.
yeah. He's a pretty new channel. He started after all of us did. I don't even think he's maybe been around for about a year or so. So he's putting out some good stuff. So if you guys aren't familiar with him, Justin Sparks, his channel Make, Build, Modify, definitely check him out.
Hey, I'm Justin. Welcome back to Make, Build, Modify.
Wonder what you're up to there, James.
Let's turn off the double.
It's a cameo there. Yeah.
And our guest host, Justin from Make, Build, Modify.
Yeah. What's new with you guys? What have you guys been up to this past week?
Oh, well, I actually was on the Make or Break podcast. He's been doing quite a few interviews with other makers, and really cool channel. He does some, he's very, very good at interviewing and getting to know the makers who you get to see on Facebook and YouTube and other such places. But definitely go check out the podcast, the Make or Break podcast. Very, very cool.
Is who hosts that?
Oh, come on. I'm horrible with names.
I just put you on the spot. Brandon Colon, is that right?
It's B. I would have to look it up. I can't remember his name for the life of me.
I think it's Brandon. I haven't been on it, but yeah, he's interviewed some pretty popular people.
Brandon.
So, yeah, I just said that.
I'm just confirming.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Yeah. Other than that, I did the countertop build video, and that was a crazy blast. Yeah, Corian. I had a lot of people then asking me what I'm going to do with the scraps left over, and I have a lot of fun ideas. I think Corian might become a new media that I have on the channel often. So
I've wanted to. We've talked about this before, and I've always wanted to do some stuff with Corian, but I don't know. I feel like it's one of the weird things about making stuff is everything's like if it's foreign, like you don't want to do it, but like once you jump in and kind of have some sort of experience or exposure,
what it feels like, what it's working on.
Then it's like okay, you can throw that in like your bag of tricks. But how does that stuff machine?
Oh, beautifully.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it? I mean, even with hand tools, you can get a really nice surface, but with something like a circular saw or table saw, it cuts really nicely.
What kind
routers?
of
the general way of it being cut is cut with a router.
Huh.
And so most of the machine shops that work on it, they have jigs that the router rides along to cut all the joining edges, to joint everything, to round all the edges.
Huh.
Router is the way to go, and you get almost a glass smooth surface off of it.
So about like how's like, so if you said it cuts fine on the table saw?
Oh yeah.
So
Yeah,
what?
it cuts much like a really hard maple.
Okay. So is there a certain like blade that you should have on your saw? You know?
A ripping blade works better.
Oh, okay. Huh, I wouldn't have thought that, but yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
it doesn't score well like a knife would like score. I mean, it scores, but it doesn't cut well. There aren't any fibers to cut as you would be with a crosscut blade. So it tends to it planes very easily, and you get that almost curling action from a slicing cut as opposed to a knife cut.
Yeah, I always thought that like kind of always wanted to do something with like walnut and Corian because you get that awesome kind of mid-century modern look.
Yeah. It some channel just did that recently. I don't remember where it was.
I wouldn't know. I don't watch
too many of them.
I don't watch enough YouTube.
I'm now over 800 channels that I'm subscribed to, so I see all the videos, but I can't always remember who did what.
Yeah, that reminds me, like, so my wife has like a soap addiction. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about. Like a couple weeks ago.
Soaps?
Well, I took a shower, like this is a month ago. I mean, I've taken showers.
Took a shower a month ago?
I've taken showers since then, but this is about a month ago. I was taking one, and I looked on like the little like vanity thing in the shower, and there were 11 bars of soap that were open. 11 of them. I just thought that was ridiculous. I said, we gotta cut back on this. Like you probably don't even know what these things are. There's so many of them. So yeah, that's what got me on that subject.
Yeah. Well, the other thing I did this week was turning a mallet. I got to play with some live oak, which is
I saw that
common down south, but not up here. And it is a very, very hard wood. It's actually the wood that Old Ironsides was made out of, and extremely dense, extremely tough.
Yes,
absolutely gorgeous. At least the piece I had just a ton of wild curl in it. It was from a branch. And made a fantastic mallet. So yeah, I would love to get several slabs of that and make a tabletop. I think that would be absolutely incredible.
Yeah.
So what about you guys? Zach?
I have been making like it's I feel like an elf. Like so like the leatherworking stuff that I've been doing has really just taken off, and it's something that I started kind of just as a hobby to kind of get my experience up making some small little items so that I can eventually do videos. And I made some handbags and stuff like tote bags, and that's all I've been doing for like the past 2 weeks. I've had like probably $3,000-4,000 worth of orders in the past 2 weeks of like handbags and like key fobs, the lanyards that I put the video out on. So I've just been cranking those out, like seriously putting in probably 10-12 hour days, trying to get all this stuff out for Christmas. So it's crazy. It's like a whole new business that just happened this month. So, but I have some good stuff coming up for the new year. It looks like I'm going to be doing some videos with Tandy leather. So I've had a lot of requests for that sort of stuff just from the posts that I put on my Instagram. A lot of people seem really intrigued, and yeah, leatherworking is a lot of fun. It's something that you spend a day out there in the shop, you're dirty and tired, and you come in, and sometimes for me, like I don't just want to sit down, and I'm not ready to call it a night. And the leatherworking is something that's fun because you can kind of just relax and do it casually, and you're clean, and it's nice. So yeah, it's kind of some of what I've been up to and what's coming up for me. How about you, Will?
Christmas.
Yeah.
I've got everybody in my family wants something handmade by me. So we asked all day, and it was kind of fun because my dad came out to use my shop for some Christmas presents that he's making for some other people. So it was me and my dad in the shop yesterday. We had some music going. My dad is more of a framing carpenter, kind of more rough framing, building houses and things, where I'm more of a fine woodworker. So he had some questions for me, and what would be the best way to do this, or he got to use my jointer, which is always fun, and then a freshly jointed piece through a table saw that I just tuned the fence and put a brand new blade on. He was pretty giddy with how smooth and buttery everything was going.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yesterday I turned salt shakers, some walnut and maple salt shakers for my grandma. I started on a live edge necklace holder rack thing for my mom. No, she is actually in Mexico right now. So
the internet goes across the world.
Yeah, but she's on a cruise ship, and I don't think she listens to the podcast. So if you are a grandma, you're getting salt shakers.
It's all right. Every time you say it, the internet cuts out, so she won't understand what you're talking about.
Oh, good. Yeah, my internet woes here are terrible. I just tried three different internets, and this is the best one, and it's terrible. So I'll have to try something new next week. I don't know.
That's all right.
Yeah. I also got 3 new all from that book matched live edge cherry slab dining table I made. 3 different friends of that client contacted me separately.
Wow.
Yeah, so that was good, and they're big live edge projects. 2 of them are a bathroom vanity, 2 separate bathroom vanities, which I think is funny. Just vanity tops for vessel sinks to sit on. And then one of them is another dining table.
That's great. So, the word of mouth is just so incredible in this business. Like it blows my mind. I mean, that's probably one of the questions I get asked the most is like, when you started, how did you get business? And granted, I think making, those initial contacts it's the most difficult part. And I started out by, obviously I got into a couple of shops and had some items in there, and they sold. And then, they I kind of became one of the go-to people for people who wanted custom stuff made. And then once I had 2 or 3 pieces out there, it just spread, like wildfire. People's friends calling me and saying, "Hey, I love what you did for so-and-so." And it's incredible. I mean, you always hear that word of mouth is the most powerful form of advertisement. And, it doesn't really set in until you experience it. It's incredible. So the question I have, what were you listening to? You said you were listening to music in the shop the other day.
I had my on, and that kind of shuffles through a lot of DAWs,
nice,
Turnpike Troubadours, stuff like that.
I like the older DAWs stuff a lot more than the newer DAWs stuff.
Yeah, so Taylor Goldsmith was saying that he used to write, everything, and then his brother's the drummer, and so they would just say like, "Hey, here's a song, let's learn it and play it." And then this last album, he kind of the rest of his bandmates so it kind of gave a different sound. So I feel like that kind of attributes to that.
What's the North? Is it Northwoods? That was my favorite album. Is that what it's called, Northwoods?
I can't,
something like that.
I can't remember. There's a lot of live stuff too. And it's funny. I actually met Taylor on a music cruise.
North Hills. That's the name of the album.
North Hills. Okay. Oh yeah, because he's from LA, right? Yeah.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you guys want to get to some questions?
Absolutely.
Let's see. We have a question left over from last week that we didn't get to. Have you ever thought about making a foot-powered bandsaw table saw? And that would be amazing. This is from Jonathan24, one of our.
That's obviously a question for James.
No, I thought this was from Will. Doesn't Grizzly make a foot-powered bandsaw?
Yeah.
Not that I know of. Maybe back in the 90s. I'm not sure.
Yes. For those of you who don't know, I just made a foot-powered spring pole lathe I don't know if there is such a thing as a motor-powered spring pull lathe. Now that would make a good video.
That would be weird. I don't know how you do that. Like mechanically, you'd have to have
a piston.
You have to have some sort of like reversing mechanism.
Yeah. Well, you just have to have a rotary piston. Yes, one of the things I want to build is a power takeoff unit. So basically build a large flywheel that a person can sit at and turn the flywheel. And then the flywheel has a PTO that you can then connect to a bandsaw, a router, a table saw, because all of those used to exist. That was
that's like the old shaker shops, right?
Well, yeah, up until like World War II, they were fairly common. Most all of them got destroyed in World War II for scrap drives, and so they're very, very hard to come by now, but they do exist.
So it's almost like modular then, like you just have your drive system that you can hook up to whatever particular tool you want to use it on.
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
And basically have like a 300-pound flywheel that takes a lot of energy to get up to speed, and so you pedal and pedal and pedal and pedal until it gets up to several hundred RPM on a 300-pound wheel, and then you run your board through the planer, and then you power it back up to speed again. And so that's.
So we have a new one in our chat here. Site for sex dating. We should probably it's didn't. I don't know what to say about that.
Get that out.
Yeah.
That's kind of like the instead of the foot-powered flywheel. To get back on topic, how do you get rid of a headache? Yeah. So the old shaker shops in Pennsylvania, I've seen a couple who actually got hydraulic powered shops where they've got they open up they open up a certain gate, and then they've got all these crazy wheels that run through like the ceiling of their shop.
Yeah. Belt driven stuff.
And then they just move their belts on
the Woodwright shop did a video. I think it's like called I can't remember the name of it.
The Sash Shop.
Yes, it is. And it's like the coolest video ever. If you like that kind of, it's just interesting just to watch it and see the kind of machinery that they used to do. And like
there's a shop about 5 miles away from me that is completely power driven. I keep wanting to go over there and video it. But yeah, they have a water wheel and the whole thing's run off of it. It's really cool.
That video, it's so cool. I mean, you watch it and it's funny.
Zero safety.
Yeah, but people, I mean, we don't give enough credit to like our ancestors and how insanely like intelligent like some of the technology that we used to rely on was. Like the machinery in that SAS shop is 10 times more complicated than the stuff that we're using now. I mean, it's the just mechanically, like watching how it'll grab a piece of lumber and machine it, flip it, rotate it, like do all of these completely automated things mechanically with no electronics and no programming. It's just, I mean, it's super cool. It's just all these mechanical, I mean, all the gearing and the math and stuff involved in the engineering that went into those machines I don't think it's a whole new level. So
if you ever want to see the coolest video ever, though, look up windmill sawmill. And in Holland and other places where they have windmills, you have this massive 70-foot tall windmill that powers a sawmill. And it's not like a sawmill like you think about. It is, if you imagine a pit saw where you have a person above the board and a person below the log, that you run a saw back and forth between the two people. The windmill actually drives that saw, but rather than having one saw, they'll have like 6 of them in row, an inch apart, and they'll run a log through this. So the thing is completely automated. So as the wind turns, the blade goes up and down, and as it goes up and hits the top, then the log advances forward, and then it goes down and cuts another inch into the log. And so every movement of the blade is an inch of cut. And on a windy day, that might be an inch of cut every second and a half.
Wow.
And making 6 simultaneous cuts across the log. Just absolutely incredible to watch.
That is crazy.
I'm gonna have to check that out. Yeah.
Yeah, look up windmill sawmill, and I think Wrangler Star did a video on it a while ago. I think it's the best video he's ever done. But here's a question for Zack from Jim Dockrell. Is the pickup going to get a nice heavy leather interior now?
That would be cool. I would love to. I feel really bad. Like I haven't had any time to do anything to the truck. It's probably been like 9-10 months since I've done any real work to it. I've just been so busy with my main channel and the podcast and trying to keep up with orders and stuff. I keep on thinking I'm a week away from doing work on the truck, and it just never happens. So ultimately, yeah, someday I think it would be really cool to make some seats for it. It actually has some decent seats in there right now. Like that's probably the best part of the truck is the interior. So that would probably be one of the later projects. But yeah, it would certainly be neat to be able to do my own work on the inside. So
yeah, I'm looking forward to that. That truck is so hot. I
don't know if I probably can't share a picture in the live chat. I'm going to try. So I worked with one of my buddies who's oh, okay. I wonder if I can post a link to Imgur.
No, but if you send one to me, I can post it.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'm going to work on trying to upload that. So anyway, one of my buddies who is a concept artist, like he designs like really cool, unique vehicles, and then like some of the top tier like street rod builders build them, and then they go to like Barrett auction and stuff like that. Anyway, I've been friends with him for a long time, and we kind of worked on a design for my truck. And I've always really liked the old 60s gassers, which were like the 60s street legal dragsters. And so we kind of worked that into a design. I'll get the link to James here in a minute, and he can post it in the live chat. So
that sounds really cool. What's the clearance on your truck? The ground clearance?
I don't know. It's stock-ish. I mean, I don't like lifted trucks. I don't really like lowered trucks typically. Like I think some of like the rat rod trucks are kind of cool and they're dropped, but this is my shop truck, and I feel like I don't know. I feel like a truck should be a truck. You should be able to drive over curbs and haul stuff in them. So
correct. I totally agree.
And I don't like the trend of lots of wheel and a little bit of rubber. Like I like the other way. Like I want giant tires and like, normal size rims. I just think that looks better. I don't know.
I can't remember. Do you have white walls on your truck? I can't remember.
Nope. I do not.
No. Okay.
Yeah, speaking of vehicles, Brian Flick just asked what is your first car?
My first car was a 1974 Nova. And this was in high school, and I took out a student.
A nice car.
No, it was the old
Nova.
It was in dire need of paint, but so I took out
the old no-go.
Yeah, no, I took out a student loan for like $3,500 for college that I didn't go to, and I did eventually, but I took out the loan and spent that building a 383 stroker for that car. So I think my senior year of school, I built an engine for it that had about 450 horse, 450 foot-pounds torque. And remember the last day of school, a couple people from class took their textbooks and put them all under my rear tire, and I burned out on the textbooks, and it was just like confetti all over the parking lot. And I felt so awesome. It was like one of the highlights of my high school life. And then like a week later, they say, "Oh, guess what? You're not going to graduate until you replace all these textbooks." And textbooks aren't cheap.
Oh.
Yeah. So that was the end of that, but it was worth it in hindsight.
All right. You guys ready for mine? It was 1986. Yeah. 1986 Volvo 240 DL.
Nice.
That's a good first
Yeah,
car.
thing was a tank. Yeah, indestructible. You couldn't get up to speed on the highway if you had 3 of your friends in the car with you. If you're going up a hill.
That's funny.
Mine was
his bad.
86 GMC S15. And we
Nice.
called it Bondo because there was more Bondo on it than body. But it was a perfect first car because over the course of it, I replaced pretty much everything on it except for the main cab, the rear axle, most of the dashboard I didn't replace, and the engine block itself. But everything else, front axle, the actual main frame was welded and replaced. The bed, we put a wooden bed on it, the whole 9 yards. It was a fantastic first car.
I'm still trying to dig up this this picture that was drawn.
Well, while you're waiting, let's see. Carbonite Gamorrean. Sorry, again, bad with names.
Gamorrean, I think it is.
Gamorrean? Okay, that would be good. That stuff you made the kitchen countertop from, Corian, or solid surface countertop. Do you think it would make a good handle, like turning something for a driver, rasp, awl, coping saw, gent saw, fret saw, etc.? And we talked about this a little bit. It's anything you can do with wood, you can do with a solid surface countertop. It cuts almost exactly the same, except for you don't have to worry about grain. There's no tear out. There's no split out. It works beautifully. And on top of that, you heat it up and you can bend it to any shape you want. So it's a very versatile surface, and I'm really looking forward to actually trying to turn it. I'm thinking about making a few of my chisel handles out of it and seeing how that does. But
Okay.
yeah.
Now, does it glue up like?
No, the glue has to be there's an epoxy that's specifically designed for it. But the cool thing about that epoxy is you get it tinted to the top you purchase. So when you glue it up, it is the same color as the main color in the surface itself. So it is you cannot find the seams. I know exactly where the seams are at, and I cannot find them. And it's absolutely incredible stuff. I mean, the next time you look at any solid surface countertop out there, the front bullnose of it is 3 layers stacked together on every single one of them. And so on the front bullnose of every solid surface countertop in the world, there are 2 seams running along the countertop, and you won't be able to find them. So it's a cool stuff to work with.
I just posted. I don't have edit access to our shop notes, so I just sent the link to our Facebook chat, James, for the shop truck. So only James, for some reason, can post links in our live chat. So here comes the link for the truck, the way that I'm going to build it. So let's see, where are we at? Jim Dockrell has a question for us. Pros and cons on split top versus solid top Roubeau.
Ooh.
Solid top is always better. Well, actually, if you look at the original Roubeaus, they're all solid top. So when you put a split on it, it's no longer actually a Roubeau. The big benefit for a split top Roubeau is you can run it through a smaller planer. So if your planer is only 12 inches wide, you laminate up 2 big chunks, you run them through your planer, and voila, it's flat. And so that is fantastic for the hybrid woodworker. A lot of people like that little split out thing for planing against. But a traditional Roubeau, you just put in dogs into holes and you have the exact same thing. So I don't know. I don't like it because it lessens the strength. Not having a fully laminated top going all the way across makes it weaker in the middle. Not by a huge amount, because your stretchers underneath are going to be able to handle it. But I don't know. I don't like it's just one more thing for dust to clog in. And a couple times I've used it, I never pulled that out to reset it. Sorry.
I made mine. Or I'm making mine. I started it like almost a year ago, and then got busy. But I made mine a split top only because that's what I had the material to do. I wanted more width, to put like cabinet carcasses and things on instead of making a narrower bench, and to have somewhere where I could put I could take out that middle section and put like, you know, a chair leg or something with a leg that I could clamp to the table. And I plan to make a block in the middle that kind of closes up that spot, so then, you know, plane shavings and things like that don't just clog up in it. And because I know me and my shop is pretty dusty, messy. In the middle of something, I'm not going to stop in the middle to clean up everything. I'm just going to keep going till I get to the end of whatever I'm doing. And then, so I would personally like a solid top Roubo, but I went with a split top because of the material.
Yeah, it's really a personal preference. I mean, there are 1,000 ways to make a bench, and no one is going to make a bench that other people like. You have to make it to your own personal preference.
I love my Nicholson that I built. I think for what I do, that was the perfect bench. I feel like Nicholsons don't get enough love. Like Roubo is like the, I feel like Roubo is like the status symbol bench.
No, Nicholson is a fantastic, because it's so easy to build. It's extremely sturdy for how easy it is to build. And I mean, for 90% what you do, you can't tell the difference between it and a Roubo and working on it.
Well, I just love the apron on it. I mean, if you're like, you know, edge joining boards, it's just, I just feel like it's the best setup, and that's usually what I use my bench for. I mean, I don't know, it's just such a it's, I think simple, and
its only downside to me is like if you're chiseling or pounding towards the middle. It tends to have a bit more of a bounce feel to it. But I mean, you don't do that much, so it's not going to be much of an issue for you.
Yeah.
So
I think, and you can build them for really cheap. If you're not familiar with Nicholson, I have a video of 2 videos of me building mine on my YouTube. That's probably a year and a half ago. They're just strictly functional benches. They're just very simple, and the apron on them is gigantic, so you can, you know, if you're working on the side of any sort of board, I just feel like it's a great setup for that. So I'm pretty happy with mine.
And if I'm not mistaken, a Nicholson bench is an English bench, and Roubo is obviously a French bench. But aren't they almost 100 years apart in the design? Yeah.
Well, then you also have the Continental bench.
What was first?
Roubo.
The Roubo.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. There are, you know, the Nicholson style is older than Nicholson himself. So I don't know when it actually started, but the Roubo is kind of the big change came when the benches were something at a sitting height. They were actually a bench height. And like that was the Roman style and early Middle Ages. And then it changed into more of a table height bench. And that's where the Roubo came. It was it was a thick top bench you would sit on, and they just made it higher. So,
yeah, the Roman type is the kind that you would straddle, right? And you, yeah,
those were also common in Eastern Europe until the late Middle Ages.
I always thought the Moravian style benches were kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. The splayed legs,
weird looking. I feel like
aren't they knocked?
What's that?
Aren't they knocked down?
Knockdown, yeah.
I feel like the Nicholson that I built, which is based off the Chris Schwartz one, is kind of a hybrid between like a Nicholson and a Moravian.
Yeah,
with the splayed legs and.
Yeah, and there's so many crossovers. Like mine, you know, if you look at it initially, the legs and top are very Roubo-esque. But with having the skirt more like a Nicholson, and then my legs and vices are more of a continental style. So it's you don't have to stick to any one style. You can mix and match any way you want and come up with a bench that fits you, because there is no perfect bench out there.
Yep.
Well, what do you say we call it there and move on to the joke of the week?
Sure. Yeah, we have one.
This one
nice.
Was from, I'm going to totally butcher this name, Vasily Vascarar.
That's not even close. Isn't it Kozuzner?
Kozuzner. Let's go with that one. Vasily Kozuzner. Why did the cabinet maker get arrested? Huh? Because he was a counterfeiter.
Ooh, that's good. That's good.
Now, if you want to hear your joke of the week, go ahead and send it to us. We always like throwing those in there.
I feel like the joke of the week's really like kind of hit a resurgence. Like we're getting a lot of good ones all of a sudden. I remember it up like at first we were having a hard time getting jokes
coming up and finding them.
Yeah, we've gotten some really good ones. I like the NC-17 one that you sent us the other day.
Yes. Yeah. Yes.
We might have to do that one next week.
To that one.
we might have to like just make an exception and tell people to plug their ears if they can't take it. It's just so good.
Earmuffs.
So, what are we watching this week, Will?
Oh crap!
What am I watching? I'm not watching much of Peter McKinnon right now, just because he's always inspiring with his editing. He's a vlogger and he's a Canadian guy, and he doesn't really always have any content of substance, but it's always really beautiful. Like he shoots a lot of B-roll and just pretty stuff, and he has editing tips and tricks and transitions and things like that. So other than that, I've just been in the shop a lot. So
good. Being in the shop is a good thing.
I can't edit this, James.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why the editing isn't working on there, but
I can put it in. Yeah, I'll put it in
the chat and I'll post it over.
So I am reading. Like I said, I've really been kind of re-envisioning my entire business and YouTube and just everything that I do. So I've been reading a lot on like marketing and stuff because I'm starting to produce more like items for sale in my shop, and so I've been reading a lot of like marketing books and stuff, and the one I'm reading right now is really good. It's called Start With Why by Simon Sinek. So anybody interested in that sort of stuff, it's actually a really cool book. There's some interesting stuff on there if you're interested in like kind of growing a brand or growing your business name. It's I recommend this one.
Cool. Oh, I've been watching. Tom Fidgen finally came out with a new video. Excuse me. And if you ever watched all of his older videos, he didn't talk. He just kind of did. And the older videos went along with his book. But he was given a commission to do a carving. And from the thumbnail, I was thinking, it was like a carving about a foot by maybe 8 inches or so. But then you watch the video and you realize this carving is like 3.5 feet tall by 2 foot wide and amazingly intricate, and out of a solid piece of like 4-inch thick black walnut. Absolutely gorgeous and a beautiful, beautiful video. Definitely worth taking a look at. Yeah, so I'll leave a link to that in the description. As soon as I can get there.
Right. I am looking for my tool of the week.
Well, then I will start with my tool of the week, which is the spring pole lathe. Surprise! I've been having an absolute blast with this, and I've had so many people comment on my videos. That looks horrible. I can't stand watching it. This is how can you stand to work on that? And it's like it's actually a lot of fun. It is extremely challenging because it's like rubbing your stomach and patting your head, because your foot is going in and out, but at the same time, your blade engages and disengages with the wood. And so you're trying to keep your spot, but yet if your foot doesn't go down fast enough, it moves very slowly, and you can almost turn it into like a screw cutting lathe, because your tool will move across the work at the speed that it's rotating, and it can be extremely challenging to try and master, but I think that's what makes it a lot of fun. So yes, that is my tool of the week. Let's see, Zach.
All right.
You have yours up?
So I do. So I've used a lot of different cutting tools for like the leather stuff that I've been working on, and recently ordered a Japanese skiving knife, and it is like probably the best cutting tool I've ever used in my life. They're kind of funky looking. I'll put a direct link to the thing. So I had to order it from, there's a site called Goods Japan that's all just like Japanese made like leather working tools and stuff. And those guys really have it down to a science. But yeah, it's insane. I mean, like cutting through like 10-ounce leather like it's nothing. So it's definitely a game changer. Yeah, it's crazy, and you can do a lot with it. It's kind of weird looking, like he kind of looks awkward, but once you start working with it, it
looks like a cleaver where they put the knife edge on the wrong edge of the cleaver.
Yeah, like on the,
and they're a lot smaller, but
yeah. Yep. So that is my tool of the week.
All right. Cool. Well, my tool of the week is the Ripple Delete tool in Adobe Premiere Pro. It's I taught myself Premiere, and until recently I have been going about cutting clips in my videos just with the cut tool or the resize on the timeline tool, and then I would manually move all of the other clips to take up the gaps. And it was really time consuming, especially if you had already kind of done an edit, watched it, realized that the video was maybe too long, or there was, kind of dragging on new clips. Then you have to go back and manually move every single clip. But I discovered the Ripple Delete tool, which just automatically takes up those gaps in your timeline. And it's made my editing go like ridiculously faster.
That is a great tool. I used it just yesterday.
There you go.
Because I do all my editing, because I just pull all my clips in timeline order. I throw them in, and then I go through and trim them all where they're at. So I end up with all these blank spaces in between it. And you just hit the one button and it all goes, all done.
Yep.
No sliding things around.
All right.
Cool.
That's about it for us, isn't it?
I think that about does it for this week. We're having a fun time here. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments on the video, and we'll try and get back to those. Also, feel free to message any of the three of us through all of our social media. You can find us at ZH Fabrications, at William Walker Company, and Wood by Wright. So until next time, we'll see you later.
See you later.
See you guys.